Welcome to the Francis Homestead Kitchen. Today we're going to make our go-to chicken noodle soup. This recipe is super easy and everything is from scratch. Let's get to it. The recipe is broken down into two parts. First the chicken stock and then the noodles. 1 to 2 rotisserie chickens, 2 onions, 6 large carrots, 1 large celery bunch, 1 fennel bulb, 1 garlic bulb, 3 to 5 bay leaves per bird, 2 to 4 tablespoons of black peppercorn, 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil, and water as needed. And the noodle recipe is 6 eggs, 4 tablespoons of milk, 3 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of salt. I start off by deboning 2 rotisserie chickens. I like to use 2, gives them a little bit more chicken flavor, and it's not that hard to debone chicken. We got our chickens from Costco, but store-bought rotisserie chickens, homemade oven-baked chickens do just fine here as well. The key is that we're deboning the chicken, getting all the meat off of the bones, and we're keeping every bit of it. The only thing that we get rid of in the rotisserie chickens that we buy at the store is the twine that holds the limbs together. Everything else is saved. We debone all the dark meat and the chicken breast from one bird, and then we use both chicken breasts off of one bird for the chicken noodle soup. You can go as lenient as you want with deboning this chicken because everything goes into the pot. When it gets down to the carcass, I like to break the pieces into a little bit more manageable sizes so that they stir easier in the pot. Once it's all done, I have 3 Tupperwares full of chicken, 2 of which we'll use for other meals, and the 3rd we'll use for our chicken noodle soup. This chicken will stay good for up to a week in the fridge. You can debone your chicken up to a week prior to making your soup. Before you start cutting, go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 degrees and get out a large cooking sheet. Once you're ready, go ahead and half the amount of celery, carrots, and onion you'll use, because half will go into the stock and half will go into the soup. So with the chicken stock, you don't need to peel your onions or your carrots or your garlic. What you'll need to do is just wash them thoroughly before using them, and then just rough cut everything. We want them in small sizes that they'll be able to cook rapidly and secrete their flavors, but we don't need them fancy cut. So I'm cutting the onion and keeping the skin on. This will add to color and flavor. I love to use the fennel bulb as it gives it a unique flavor to the soup. So once you have all the vegetables on the rack, go ahead and put a couple of tablespoons of oil, just enough to coat. Mix it up. What we've usually done is with the garlic bulb is cut it in half and then put the bulb on the cooking sheet. But we have this garlic that we bought from the store that we've been using, and this will do just nicely. Once your vegetables are in the oven, you could start warming up the chicken carcass. You'll need a large pot to cook your stock. Add all your chicken and just warm it up. I set my oven top to medium-high heat. This will heat up the pot, getting everything ready to go. I keep a large bowl of water nearby, just so that if the pot does get too hot, I can put some water in to keep the bits from the bottom from burning. You want to constantly stir to make sure that no bits are stuck at the bottom. The last thing that you'd want is a burnt flavor to your soup or stock. As you're warming the chicken, go ahead and take a look at your vegetables, make sure that they don't burn. What you want is crispy edges, and you want everything to be heated through. Once you have that desired look with your vegetables, go ahead and take it out, and then just put it right into the pot. Once you have all your vegetables in, go ahead and add water so that everything is submerged. Once everything's submerged, go ahead and add your bay leaves and peppercorn. Once your stock starts to boil, go ahead and lower it to low heat and just let it simmer. At this point, your stock is done. Now we just need to add time. For this chicken stock, you want to have a minimum of 3 hours, but I would shoot for 4 to 5 to 6 hours depending on how long you have. Check in every 45 minutes or so to make sure that the water level is okay and that your vegetables and chicken is still submerged, and skim off the top layer of foam that builds up. When you're ready, get another pot or a metal mixing bowl and get the cookie sheet that you used to bake the vegetables previously. You'll need a fine strainer and a ladle. What you want to do is you want to strain all the liquid from the solids. Put the solids in the strainer, mix it around. Don't push the solids through the strainer. They will go through it if you push it. So we want to mix it around in the strainer, and then once all the liquid has strained out, put it on the cookie sheet and ladle up some more solids and liquids. And continue to do this until your pot is completely empty. Once I let the cookie sheet cool, I take it out to my chickens. It's okay for chickens to eat chickens. They are meat eaters, and they will devour this entire cookie sheet, and they'll even eat the bones if the bones are soft enough. At this point, you can keep the chicken stock and use it for other things. It will freeze and keep for up to 3 months in the freezer. And you can use it for any type of recipes or meals that you have that requires chicken stock. For us today, we're using it for chicken noodle soup. We're going to start by doing a nice fine cut of our carrot, celery, and onion. So we want to make sure that the vegetables are clean. And then we're going to peel our carrots, and we're going to dice them up small enough for them to end up on a spoon. And we'll do the same thing with the celery. And we'll do the same with the onion. Once all of our vegetables are cut, we'll add them to the pot that we cooked the stock in. This is great because there's a little bit of fond left over on the sides that the vegetables will clean off. As I'm cooking the vegetables, I will use some of the chicken stock to lubricate, make sure that it doesn't burn or stick to the bottom. As the chicken stock sits, the oil and the fat will rise to the top. So I'm just going to skim the top and use that oil and fat to cook the vegetables. Once the onions are translucent, I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic, because that will burn if it's added too soon, and give it a minute, and then after that I will add the chicken stock. And this chicken stock is rich, it is concentrated, so I'm going to add a little bit more water to dilute it, make it potable. Once that chicken stock is in with the vegetables, I'm going to let it simmer as I finely cut this chicken. Same thing, it needs to be small enough to fit on the spoon. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and put it back into its container and put it to the side. It doesn't need to be added right away as it's already cooked and it's already flavored. At this point, you can put in store-bought noodles and call it done. But for me, I like to make my own noodles. So the recipe for our egg noodles is 3 cups of flour, 6 eggs, 4 tablespoons of milk, and 2 teaspoons of salt. You can put this in a mixer, but I like to do it by hand. And if your dough is wet like mine, you can go ahead and add some more flour. My eggs were a bit larger than normal, so my dough was a little bit wetter than usual. I had to add a bit more flour to get the consistency that I needed. And once the dough starts to form, you can go ahead and put it on the countertop and continue to mix it by hand. You want to make sure that your countertop is nice and clean, and so are your hands for this part. Go ahead and work the dough, put more flour in it as needed, but you want to make sure that it's not too sticky. If it's too sticky when you go to roll it out, it will stick to your rolling pin, or in my case, my noodle maker. It get too sticky and won't form. If your dough is too sticky, you can apply flour on either side of the dough when you go to roll it. That way it does not stick to either the rolling pin or the countertop. If you do have a noodle maker like I do, I have it set to 0 and I work my way to level 4, and that's the thickness that is perfect for our chicken noodle soup. So what I like to do is I like to roll it out, and then once it's rolled out to the thickness that I want, I put it on the countertop and I cut it with a pizza cutter. I do it this way because the noodles stay small enough to stay on a spoon, and I'm able to do multiple noodles quickly. So what I like to do is I like to work half the dough, get them all cut, and then add them to the soup. That way they cook. Once I get the last half done, I just put them right into the soup. And once those are cooked, then I add the chicken. Once the noodles cook, which takes about 5 minutes for homemade or about 10 minutes for store-bought, then salt to taste. At this point, it was still concentrated and I needed to add more water, which is fine because it just makes the soup go further. And then once you've salted the taste, you're done. And there you have it. That's our homemade chicken noodle soup. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe.